Alright guys, here's another inspiration video, or picture I had. I have no idea where I snapped it from. It's been on my phone forever. So I'm going to see if I can recreate my version. I did do something a little different because I wanted to use just a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. And with the way the pockets and the belly bands and stuff on there, it would take more than just one 12 by 12. So I did sort of adjust it a little bit. So when I look at this picture, I can tell that all of these are attached. They are separate. They're not put together. So I started out with the base, deciding what side I want the base, and I made out a little base template. And for my base template, and then I needed the flaps up and down, so I cut out a template for the flaps, and the way after I've got my base, I just sort of laid it on there and then decided how far I wanted it down and folded it under. And so that can be the same flap on the top and the bottom, so that can be used for both of them. Whenever, this is the band template, but you need to make sure that whatever height you make your flap, that band is going to have to meet. And that can be cut up at the end when you do it. But when I did my mock-up, you'll see how I did it. And I sort of played with it and what I come up with. Then there's these two flaps on the side. And so you sort of decide, now this is my suggestion, you need to not be the same height. You do have to cut off some. Or the flaps won't fold over on the ends, the two flaps there. So the two little door flaps can go there. And then, of course, template for the pockets. But when I did my mock-up, I used just one 12 by 12 sheet of paper. And as you can see, I had to flip, and I did the band, and then the two doors. I did my doors, this particular one off mock-up, they ended up being two different sizes, but when I did my next one, you'll see. It opens up, and then I layered my pockets. I made them the same size and layered them instead of making them separate, because that's what I wanted. Of course, you can do whichever you want. You can put 4 pockets in there if you want to. It's whatever you feel you want to do. So, that was my first mock-up when I tried it. And then I cut some because I wanted my stripes to match. So it came out naturally. How does it come out naturally? Well, here's the second paper I decided. It comes out naturally by using a 12 by 12. So what did I do? That's how my stripes lined up, because my flaps, I did them here and here on that original one. If you have stripes or some kind of pattern, make sure you're cutting out and laying out your flaps going the same way. So the first thing I started with was cutting out my base template, and I marked it. And then from there, I decided I needed to do my flaps. And since this isn't a pattern that I need to match up, I just did one flap here and one flap here. I marked them. And then on my doors, the flaps that go in and out, I'd put them here and here. So that left me this area right here. Oh, it's sort of hard to see, isn't it? That left this area for pockets and belly bands. So that's where, when I said how I ended up having, when I did my original mock-up, how my pockets ended up the sizes they were, and my belly band the size. I used what was left over on here. So let's sort of see how this one turned up. I've got a vision in my mind how it's going to turn out, but I don't know. So that is how I laid out all my templates, just to use one 12 by 12 sheet of paper. And it just hit me. I better check. Yeah. Couldn't remember if I hit record or not. Okay. And I know this is boring to watch this, but I wanted you to see how I laid it out. So just bear with me here for a moment. I might be out of frame, but it's going to get it cut quicker. If I just hold it up and cut it. And we'll see how this turns out. Good thing about lining these up, it's going to be a straight line going straight down. If you want to use your cutter or what, but I'm really trying to show these ideas from pictures from a standpoint of what if I did not have any tools whatsoever. I've got my hands, my glue, and my scissors, and that's it in my paper. So that's sort of where I'm going. I might have tools that could cut this, but I want to show that you don't have to spend money on anything really to be able to make things. That's always been, when I started this channel, a DIYer, working from that standpoint. You've got the money, you've got the resources to find things, go for it and use those tools. But if you don't feel like you have to go out and spend money and go in debt and sacrifice other things just so you can have tools to make journals. Because really, you just need your fingers, a pair of scissors, and glue and paper. And it can be any kind of paper. Okay, so I'm going to lay all these pieces over here for now. So here's my base. I want that on the outside, and this for the inside. So I'm going to do there. Then, so I've got my 2 flaps. So I'm going to decide how far I want my flaps. So I literally just lay it down, and I'll get all this shorn up and even in just a minute. You don't have to have everything perfect when you start. And I sort of decide how I want my flaps going either way. I don't know, I might actually make my flap a different, the one that comes up the different side. But I don't know yet. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue this just because it makes it easier on me. This is all on the fly. I'm just going with what I think is going to turn out, and I will adjust from there. Wonderful thing about making journals and stuff, you just sort of create on your own. If it doesn't turn out the way you wanted it in the beginning, that's what I mean. I'm going to short up here and just get the sides equal. That wasn't exactly straight, so I'm going to be straightening that out. Make a little bit off there as well. There we go. So there's that flap. And I don't know. I'm going to decide. That's going to line up there anyway. So I'm going to do it this way so it's not as that. I want it to go up that far. I'll fold this up. And I think I'm going to make that a pocket because it's bigger. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So it has a little pocket on the back. I'll shore these edges up. I make some of you nervous where I'm not a measurer. There'll be a little pocket there. Okay, so that's a flip up, flip down there, sort of. And I forgot to, since that was a pocket, I forgot to glue that. So I'll just put that in there. There we go. Now I've got these that are going to come over. I got to decide. I think I'm going to turn these this way so this opens up here instead of, I don't know. We'll lay these here where they're going to meet, and they will overlap. I know what I'm going to do. Remember, these are the same height, and I said they need to be a little bit shorter. I almost forgot to cut those to start with, but I did that on my mock-up, and I just cut them after the fact, and it worked out just fine. There we go. Fold these out separate. Those are going to be up, so do I want... Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to wrap it. This is the reason I'm not going to wrap it. Technically, if I didn't have that pocket on the back side, I could wrap it and it would go right there. But instead, I think I'm going to glue mine like this, so that it doesn't mess with that pocket on the other side. we go. And this one, I want to overlap. Here, line it up with that top and bottom there so it matches. So I cut them at the same time so they are the same height. So now I have those flaps on the inside with flip down and flip up. Okay, now these are the extra pieces. Now I can pull another piece out. I can use a coordinating piece. If this is where you want it this time, you want to have coordinating, you overlay other things here. But I just want to use what I have left and not. So that's going to have to be just a little bit shorter. That's not straight right there. So let me... I do want a notch. You can use a bottle and cut this out, but I'm just going to use my hole punch since it's right here. So on this particular one, I'm just going to have one pocket right now. Instead of the two from the inspiration picture. And that's exactly what it is, inspiration. That means you can do whatever you want, ever which way you want to do it, and it doesn't matter. It's your choice. Whoops. Gotta be careful there. Let's hope I measured that right. Yeah. Yep, they were close. Okay. So what other pieces do I have here? So the bands, I could use that as a band, but I'm thinking I will go ahead and I will be able to do another pocket here. If I use this strip as a pocket instead of a band. Make sure. Yep. If I had checked before, I just lined up on the sides there. If I had checked before, I could have put this underneath the other one, but I didn't. Be something for something smaller. Yep. All right. And now I've got these pieces that I can use for bands. Let's see. Those aren't long enough, so this is the longer one. So I'm going to lay that here. I'm going to use that as my pattern, the height that I want it. Lay it down. In fact, I think I'm just going to go ahead and glue this one end down. The way that's glued down. Hold that when I cut it. Glue that. And there we go. Got a band on that one. Still got this that I can put a band down here. Of course. Didn't get enough on there. There we go. So I've got two little bands, and that's not even, which I knew when I cut it, it wasn't. There we go. And I do have a few little pieces left over here, so I'm thinking I'm going to put a little mini pocket on this little door. Actually, I'm just going to make it a little tuck, I think, since I have a piece left over. I can tuck a little something in there. I always try not to have have anything left over for scraps and whatnot. Can also make a little tuck on this side. Just going to put glue right down on here, a little narrow tuck. Just to slip a little something underneath there. So I've got basically those two little pieces left, which there we go. So those will fold in. That folds down. And then I can use, if I want to have an attachment, I can make that thicker and make that, so that flips up underneath there to hold that down. I'll have to glue that together. That's the inspiration picture. Here was the inspiration picture. Of course, they had the policy closures on there. I'm not a fan of those, I'll be honest with you. But I can still put those on here. That won't be a problem, won't affect anything. But there's the inspiration picture. This was my mock-up that I did. A little bit different. So this is the one I created with you all. I think they look similar. I mean, it's just inspiration. That's all it is. Just take the picture, drew out some templates to use, and went from there. I'll catch you all later.